Good morning to you all. It is, look, I've traveled to many countries, and I know that when you listen to someone speaking, they always start with, "It is a great honor to be with you." I want you to know that this is sincerely a great honor for me to be with you today. I am amongst the best in South Korea, and it is a great privilege for me to spend this time with you. Thank you for your hospitality, to our wonderful MC, and especially to our wonderful staff member, Yuna Kim. Without Yuna, this wouldn't happen. And to all of those of you who have participated in this event today, thank you so much for inviting me to your wonderful country and for your hospitality. So I have a very important question for you all. Please raise your hand if you have ever heard me speak before. Oh, wow, okay, good. And please raise your hand if you have never heard me speak before. Excellent. Please raise your hand if you don't care whether you've heard me speak before or not. Good. I'm just looking for some honest ones amongst you. Okay, we have 1 hour together. I would like to ask you to do something for me. Would that be okay? Great, because Yuna was telling me this morning that she gets very nervous during these meetings. And I was thinking, actually, I'm a little nervous as well. And I was thinking, how do I motivate and inspire so many great members from South Korea? How can I share with you? How can I give my best to you today? And I was thinking, what can I do to help you to increase your productivity and to be the very best you can be? And I came up with an idea. Just as I was waiting to be introduced, I had an idea. I would like to share the idea with you. Is that okay? Great, thank you. So I was thinking that in order to inspire you, in order to motivate you, and in order to give you the best ideas that will help you to become the very best in this business, I thought that first, I would like you to motivate and inspire me. Would that be okay? Yeah. Great, thank you. So here's what we're going to do. In order to motivate and inspire me, so that I can motivate and inspire you, I would like you to turn to the person sitting next to you and to repeat some words I'm going to give you. Okay? So all you have to do is find a friend, and here are the words I would like you to share with the person sitting next to you. Are you ready? Yes. This guy is going to be great. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now I'm feeling very inspired. Now I'm feeling very inspired. So, just a bit of fun. Okay, now I want to be serious for a moment because I would like to take you back to 1989. 1989. In 1989, I started in this wonderful profession, and it is a wonderful profession. For the first 2 years in my career, I was terrible, really bad. I did not make any sales. I listened to the little voice on my shoulder. You know the one, the little voice in your ear that gives you many reasons why you cannot succeed in this business, in life. And we listen to this voice all of the time. And the reason we listen to the voice is because when we listen to the voice, we feel more comfortable, don't we? Because there are many reasons why we can't succeed. Now, of course, I am amongst the greatest in South Korea. So already you have found a way to stop listening to the little voice. But in 1989, for 2 years, I listened to this voice every day, and I did nothing. It was in 1991, I will tell you the story this afternoon. In 1991, something happened that changed my perception, changed the way I saw my calling, my opportunities in life and business. I will tell you why this happened and what happened during the general session this afternoon. But I decided in 1991 that I would examine every part of the process. Now, the word process is very important. If you are really serious about reaching the very top. Now, of course, if you're a COT member, and there are 71 COT members in South Korea, which is fantastic. And there are 16 TOT members in South Korea, which is amazing. There are also 2 inner circle members. These are 2 of you who have very kindly given to the MDRT Foundation. So if you are a COT member or TOT member or an inner circle member, thank you so much for all you do, not just for MDRT, but also for your clients and your families and yourselves as individuals. In 1991, I started to question whether what I was being told, typically by my manager or by a trainer, was really the most effective way to succeed in financial services. For example, I was told that if I made 100 telephone calls, I would make 2 sales. And I thought, 100 phone calls to make 2 sales? Why don't I create a system? Why don't I have a process where if I make 2 telephone calls, I make 2 sales? That's much more effective, right? So I started to create a system, a process. When we create a process, we create something that is consistent. And when we are consistent, we create trust. So today, I want to talk to you about the creation of a world-class, top-of-the-table process, and also talk a little bit about positioning. Positioning is a way that you create relationships, but most importantly, the way you change the dynamic in a relationship. Now, let me explain what I mean. In the world of financial services, particularly in the Far East and Southeast Asia, because you are such wonderful, kind, generous people, the problem that we have as advisors is we know there is a stereotype with financial advisors, don't we? There is a stereotype. And when we call someone, when we call a new prospect and we say, hello, my name is Sandro Forte from ABC Life, the prospect says, I'm not interested. Has this happened to you? And we think, why does this happen? I haven't even told them why I'm calling yet. It is because we give them information and they take control of the relationship. When we meet them for the first time, when we do a fact find, unfortunately, because we've not thought about this process, we've not created a process, we hand control to the client. And the client says, I'm not interested. I want to think about it. Send me an email. I want to get a second opinion. I will only do business with you if you give me a gift. These are all excuses, all reasons why clients don't do business with us. The problem is they don't do business with us, not because they have a genuine reason not to do business with us. They do not do business with us because we make fundamental mistakes in the process of communicating for the first time with a prospect. So I want to, in the time I have with all of you wonderful people, I want to examine two very important parts of the business. One, positioning. This is the creation of a new dynamic, a different way to communicate. I am not here today to tell you how to sell. You can sell. You're great at what you do. I'm here to show you that there is a very small step from COT to TOT, and a very small step from TOT to 2 times TOT. It's a really simple, easy step. The second thing we will look at is the process. Every single day, I do exactly the same thing, and my clients start to understand that they can trust in that process because it's the same. A good example, Starbucks. We've all been to Starbucks, right? Or McDonald's. Now, the reason we go to Starbucks is not for the best coffee. Some of us love Starbucks, but it's not the reason why Starbucks have become such a world-established brand. Starbucks is famous. Starbucks is successful for one reason. They create an experience based on consistency. From the moment you walk through the door to the moment you leave, you know exactly what you will get. In your businesses, do your clients know exactly what they will get? If the answer is no, we need to make some changes. If the answer is yes, fantastic. In 2016, I met a young lady. I say young, everyone is young compared to me. I met a young lady in Hungary. Some of you will have met her. She's an MDRT member. I won't mention her name because I don't want to create any embarrassment for her. But in 2016, she came to me after a presentation I gave in Hungary, and she said, Sandro, I'm going to quit the business. I'm failing. I used to be a COT member, but my relationship with my boyfriend is broken. I was going to move to the United States. Now I'm not moving, and I'm very demotivated, and I'm going to leave the financial services business. This was in April 2016. And I said, okay, if you want to quit, that's fine. But you must give me 8 months, just 8 months, from April to December. If we work together, I don't have the time to do coaching individually, but just on this occasion, you give me 8 months. And in that time, if you succeed, you must stay in the business, and you must stay with MDRT. If you fail, then you can leave, no problem. She said, okay. I said, but I have one very important question. And this is the first question I have for all of you today. My question to her in April 2016 was, how serious are you about success? How serious are you about success? Now, this is an important question because when I ask people this question, sometimes I hear, yeah, I'm quite serious. Quite serious is not enough. This young lady, she looked me in the eye and she said, I am very serious. Whatever I have to do, I will do it. In 8 months, she went from last in her company, 0 production, to number 3. In 1 year, she was number 1. The following year, TOT, now she is 2 times TOT. Now, she didn't change her skill, she didn't change her knowledge, she didn't change the number of years she had been in the business, she was still working with the same company, still selling the same products, at the same price. The only thing that changed was here. If you are really serious about success, we are going to go on a journey together today that will help you to become anything you want to be. Anything. Okay? Are you ready? Okay. So, let's talk a little bit about positioning. Positioning is an area of the business that very few advisors ever think about, but it is probably the most important area. Let me give you a couple of examples, okay? I don't want to just talk about concepts. I want to give you some examples. Here is the first mistake every advisor I've ever met makes. The very first interaction, the first communication you have with a new client, we all make the same mistake. Here's what we do. Hello, is that Una? Oh, hi, Una. My name is Sandro Forte from ABC Life. And then I wait for Una to respond. And Una says, I'm not interested. And I think, oh, what do I do now? And already I've created a problem for myself because I have given control of this new relationship to my new prospect, Una. Because someone in 1989 told me that what I have to do is call Una and say, hi, Una, my name is Sandro Forte from ABC Life. And logically, that makes a lot of sense. But in practice, it doesn't work. But we keep doing it because that's what we've always been told. So I would like you just for a moment to think about the difference between the old way of doing things, the way I've just described. Hello, is that Una Kim? My name is Sandro Forte from ABC Life. Now we're going to change things just a tiny little bit, and we will create a completely different result. First of all, before you pick up the telephone, I would like you to imagine the outcome. I would like you to imagine in your mind, Una, your new prospect, saying, yes, please come and see me. There is a lot of psychological study, evidence, that tells me if I imagine the outcome before I speak to my prospect, I am 11% more likely to get a yes. I haven't even called yet. Just imagining the outcome creates an 11% better probability of my prospect saying yes. That is a big number, 11%. Now, instead of saying, okay, is it okay to talk to you now for a moment, Una? Instead of saying, my name is Sandro Forte from ABC Life, and now I wait for Una to say, I'm not interested, this time I say, my name is Sandro Forte from ABC Life, and I was speaking with our mutual friend, William Hong, yesterday. And now I wait for a response. Now, where do you think Una's attention is? What's she focusing on? William Hong, not ABC Life anymore. Now everything changes because now she's focusing on her friend, William Hong. And I say, I promised William I would call you today, Una. I'm keeping my promise. Is that okay? Now the words, is that okay, is something we call a logical question. If you ask a logical question, the answer will always be yes. Always. If you can learn the art of asking logical questions, you will always get a yes. And I also told Una, I promised William I would call you today. I'm keeping my promise. Is that okay? She says yes, because it's logical. But I've also told Una that I keep my promises, because I promised Una I would call you today, or William, and I'm keeping my promise. Is that okay? Yes. In her mind, she now knows I'm trustworthy because I keep my promises. Now, this is not a lot different to what you do now. You're all good on the telephone. You wouldn't be COT, you wouldn't be TOT if you weren't good on the telephone. But we could all be better on the telephone. When I get to number 3, now I've spoken about William, when I get to number 3, I talk about my message. Now the message is the elevator pitch, right? And we all talk about the elevator pitch. And when I ask advisors around the world to tell me, what do you do? They say, I'm a financial advisor. Because we know in our experience, when we use the words financial advisor, the prospect starts to run away because of the stereotype. Now, when I communicate my message with people, I say, I specialize in working with people to help them become financially more successful. That's my message. It doesn't matter whether Una is a multi-millionaire or whether she is really struggling financially. Everyone I've ever met wants to be financially more successful. And so when I communicate this message, I simply say, why don't we meet? Do you know the ABC Hotel? Do you know the ABC offices? Let's meet next week, maybe on Tuesday or Thursday. You know the rest of the script. Nice and easy. But these are 2 small changes that you can make that will change the dynamic, the relationship between you and a prospect. I know I'm a Gen X. I'm 55 years old this year, so I don't do so well with social media. But I can tell you that I get lots of messages on social media, and I know many of you communicate via social media. And when you send a message like this lady sent to me, this is a real true life message that I received from a lady called Nadine Sinclair. And she sent me a message, very typical message, and it said, "Hi Sandro, I'd like to be part of your network," or something along those words. Now the problem I have with Nadine is Nadine wants to be part of my network. How does that benefit me? So when we are communicating with social media, we need to change the messaging. My prospects are not interested in what they do for me. They're interested in what I do for them. So when you are communicating on social media, show people how they can benefit from being part of your network. I wrote to this lady on social media. It was an Instagram message. And this is a very famous divorce lawyer, famous matrimonial lawyer in the UK. And she posts a lot on Instagram. And I sent her a note. You can read it here. And you can see that this was about what I could do for her, not the other way round. She immediately replied within about 1 hour, and she said, "Please come and see me." I met with her. Within 1 month, she gave me the biggest case I wrote last year. That's the impact of creating opportunities based on what benefit we bring to people, not the benefit they give to us. Hopefully that makes some sense. Right. I want to focus on something very important. Now, all of us, everyone here today, knows how to fact find. So I'm not going to teach you how to ask questions. You know all of these things. However, I know that every single person here today would like to have more client meetings in their diary. Is that true? Yes? Okay. I'm going to show you one really simple idea that will add twice as many meetings to your diary. Minimum. 100% increase in the number of meetings you have. Okay? And you get these opportunities when you fact find. Now, in 1989, my trainer said, the best time to ask for referrals is When? When's the best time to ask for referrals? When the client is signing the application form, yeah? Wrong. That is not, yeah, good. Anytime, but that is not the best time to ask for referrals. The best time to ask for referrals is when you are fact-finding. Let me share with you how this works. Now, going back to what I said before, when we ask for referrals, we give the client or the prospect control. What do they say when we ask for referrals? They say, I can't think of anyone. Let me think about it. That's no good. So instead of asking for referrals, you are going to demand referrals. Okay? Let me share with you how this works. When you are fact-finding, you should be talking to the prospect about what happens if they die. So, Una, if unfortunately you didn't come home from work yesterday, what would happen to your family? Una says, well, I have 2 children. My husband, it doesn't work. I'm the one who generates the income. So it would be a big problem. Okay, so Una, you have 2 children. Who would look after the children if you died? Well, maybe my sister and my brother-in-law. Okay, so 2 children, sister, brother-in-law. That's 4 people so far. And who would be responsible for your estate? Well, my mother and father are still alive, so maybe they would look after my estate if I die. So now I have 6 people, 6 names, okay? I do not ask for referrals. I do not say, Una, please, could you introduce me to these people? Because Una will say, I want to think about it, because I've given Una control. What I say to Una is, Una, thank you for this information. By the way, Una, I need to meet these people because. Now, the words I need to, ... because are very powerful instruction words. What I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to Una that the reason I need to meet these people is because if anything does happen to Una, then her family need to know where is the insurance policy, who will help to deal with all the financial things, where is all the paperwork. So I need all of these people to understand their roles and their responsibilities. In other words, I'm not simply selling Una a product. That's called a transaction. And that's the big problem with financial services, is we have become known as very transactional advisors. What I'm talking about here is holistic financial planning. That's very different. So now what I'm talking to Una about is, yes, the product, the solution, but also a 360-degree service that involves building relationship with her mum, her dad, her sister, her brother-in-law, her children. Every one of my clients has introduced me to their children. That's intergenerational planning opportunities. That creates sustainability for your business in the future, but also generates more business opportunity. And it does the very best for your clients. That's, of course, very important. So in your fact-finding, please understand 2 opportunities. 1, I need to meet these people, not would it be okay if you introduce me? I need to meet these people because, and also when you're fact-finding, try to understand if they have ever worked with another financial professional before, or a lawyer, or an accountant, or a mortgage advisor. People who, like Laura, like the lawyer I messaged on Instagram, I find out, for example, that Una and her family moved home 1 year ago. So I say to Una, when you moved home, Una, did you work with a lawyer? And she says, yes, I work with a great lawyer. He's done many things for my family. He's great. Fantastic. What's his name, Una? Because what I discover is when I'm speaking with my clients, because I provide an holistic service, many times they say to me, Sandro, I'm moving home. Do you know a good lawyer? So this is an opportunity for me to connect with another lawyer and refer my clients. Una says, of course, no problem. I call the lawyer the next day and I simply explain that yesterday I was with our mutual client, Una Kim, and Una was speaking very highly of you. I run a very successful financial planning business in South Korea, and I would like to come and talk to you about introducing my clients to you. What do you think he says? Sure, come and see me. I'll buy the coffee. I'll buy lunch. Come and see me. Why? Because he is in the same business as me. He's not a financial planner. It's called the prospecting business. Lawyers, accountants, mortgage brokers, financial advisors, all in the same business. It's called the prospecting business. So these are great opportunities when you are fact-finding to build relationships with other people without asking for the referral. If you ask, you put the prospect in control. Because I am with such successful people, I'm going to share with you something that's a little bit more high level. And it's understanding the difference between the left brain and the right brain, because I've traveled, this is country number 88. I've been to 87 countries. This one, South Korea, is number 88. And it's kind of nice that the 88 is 8, lucky number in Chinese, right? And here I am with all of you, number 88, which is fantastic. Now, the difference between left brain and right brain is very simple. But when I ask advisors all around the world, why do clients buy from us? They never know the answer. They say, well, they like me, they trust me, they need some insurance, they need an investment. No, that's not the reason why your clients say yes and no. Your clients say yes and no based on one simple principle, and we need to understand what that principle is. The principle is that in the right side of your brain, this is the emotional part of your brain, as I'm sure you know, and the left side of your brain is the logical side of your brain. Clients will only make a decision, they will only say yes if they are emotionally attached to something and they can justify it with logic. If they simply make an emotional decision, they will cancel the policy because they will not stay emotionally attached forever. Equally, if they simply make a decision based on what they need, because you tell them, you know, you need life insurance because you are the sole income earner in your family, she says, logically that makes sense. Unless she is emotionally attached to this decision, she will not buy the plan. She will not buy the policy. So we have to understand that to get a yes from a client, we need to balance left brain, right brain. All I will tell you is that when you are fact-finding, the first question you need to ask is, Una, before we go any further, before we start talking about your assets, your liabilities, your family, your job, can I just ask you, if you could imagine the very best financial picture for yourself and your family, what would it look like, Una? And Una will say, well, I'd love to retire at 55, or I'd love to move to a bigger house, or I'd really, really like my children to have private education. The problem with human beings around the world is we set the bar really low. Why? Because we have been conditioned to think realistically. I remember when I was 8 years old, and my mother said to me, when you grow up, Sandro, I don't think I ever grew up, but when you grow up, Sandro, what would you like to be? And I said, Mum, I would like to be an astronaut. And she patted me on the head and she said, maybe you want to think about something a little more realistic. Isn't that true of life? That we set the bar really low because we want to succeed. The really successful people in life set the bar really high. They know they may never get there. But if I set the bar really high and I get halfway there, I'm still more successful than everyone who sets the bar really low. So don't worry about unrealistic goals. There's nothing wrong with unrealistic goals. Some realistic goals are important, of course, but set the bar really high. And also, when you are communicating with your clients, ask them to think really high. Ask them to paint a fantastic picture, the best possible picture. Now, you may not be able to help them achieve all these goals, but if you can get them imagining, dreaming of the very best possible outcome, you create an emotional attachment to a financial plan. All you then have to do is justify with logic. Does that make sense? Get them to buy emotionally, justify with logic. If you do these two things, everyone you speak to will buy from you. Okay? And then, of course, when Una tells me that she wants to retire at 55, I know that maybe, because maybe Una is 40 years old, she looks younger than 40, but maybe she is 40 years old, so I only have 15 years to help her achieve this goal. I think that's a bit unrealistic, Una. But I say to Una, Una, could you wait until you were 60? Would 60 be a problem? And Una says, it's okay. 60 is okay. 65, not okay. 55 or 60. I've now created more time to get Una to where she wants to go. It's called negotiating. Moving the boundaries, moving the set of objectives to give me as long as possible to help Una achieve her goals. Another very important psychology is the number 3. When you are presenting to a client, then I'm going to recommend you always give them 3 solutions. Let's imagine, again, I'm speaking with Una and her husband, and we're talking about life insurance for their family. I present to Una the lowest possible premium solution, the minimum. I offer her the maximum, and I offer her something in the middle. Okay? I offer 3 solutions. The least, the lowest, the highest, and something in the middle. Every human being will automatically, in their mind, eliminate one of these 3 options. And it's usually, 90% of the time, it's always the lowest premium. When they eliminate the lowest premium, automatically you increase your average case size, because now you are talking about the medium solution or the high solution. Okay? Very important. Number 3, do everything in 3s, because the human brain will eliminate one and will select from the other 2. And generally, it eliminates the cheapest. No one ever wants the cheapest. We buy the most expensive cars, not because we get from one place to another more effectively, but because we want to drive a nice car. Upselling. Everyone has heard of upselling. Earlier, I talked about building relationships with other professionals. Upselling also involves talking to clients about that holistic financial plan, involving other professionals, but also underpinning, supporting investments with protection, for example. Everyone understands upselling, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about upselling. What I will talk about, though, is downselling. Now, you would not expect someone to talk about downselling. Let me explain what downselling is. And to explain this to you, maybe I should just tell you a quick story of a client that I acquired, a new client, about 2 years ago. And their names were Roger and Alison. And Roger and Alison had previously met another advisor in the UK. Roger and Alison were very inexperienced, a little nervous, very cautious. They had £1 million invested in their bank. So they were sitting on cash. They had a lot of cash, but inexperienced and nervous. Another advisor went to see them. He saw the 1 million in the fact find, in the bank account, and what do you think the advisor tried to sell? Obviously, £1 million investment. And Alison and Roger took a step back because the advisor took a step forward. And when you create conflict, which we do when we step forward, when we push, our clients step back. Sometimes when we step back, they step forward. It's a basic psychology. So in this situation, I won their trust because I said, Roger, Alison, I do not think you should invest 1 million. And they relaxed. They thought, thank goodness, because we're nervous about investing 1 million. So I said, Roger, Alison, I do not think you should invest 1 million. I think you should invest half of this. And then when you're happy, when you're more confident, when we've built a relationship, then maybe we can talk about investing the other half. And immediately they said, fantastic, let's continue with £500,000. I did nothing apart from build the relationship, manage the money. After 3 months, they called me and said, now we're ready to invest the rest. So sometimes if you take a step back to win the opportunity will always come. Maybe in 3 months, maybe in 6 months, maybe in 12 months. Everyone has the experience of knowing when to push and when to pull, when to step forward and when to step back. It's a very important part of the client relationship, the way to build trust with a new client. So we've talked about positioning, and I've given you a few ideas about how you create that lovely positioning with a new client, some of the words to use, and some of the ideas to follow. Let's just talk about process for a moment in the last 15 or so minutes. So first of all, and this is a really interesting point, I think, because when I hear advisors talking about, well, you know, I work-life balance, the value of my time, I don't know any advisor who truly knows the value of their time. They talk about time, they talk about wasting time, they talk about the only 2 ways to be successful, and there are only 2 ways to be more successful. 1, work harder. Does anyone wish to work harder? No. Or we work smarter. How do we work smarter? We increase the value of our time. But how do you increase the value of your time if you don't know the value of your time? So here's a little idea. Here's a little piece of homework I would like you to do. When this meeting finishes today, I would like you to look at how much business, what productivity you did in 2022 or during the last 12 months. And I'm going to suggest that all of us work more or less 220 days every year, more or less. We don't work on weekends, we have vacations, we take days like this, so more or less 220. More for some, less for others, but on average, 220 days. In those 220 days, I think we should be working more or less 8 hours. If you say to me, oh, but Sandro, I work 12 hours every day, 16 hours every day. I would say you probably see clients for 8 hours. The rest of the time you drink coffee and you look at the telephone wondering when you're going to start making calls, generally. So if you work 220 days, 8 hours every day, and last year, for example, you made $200,000, then your average hourly rate is around $112, more or less. $112, $113. Now, you would not walk through the streets of Seoul handing $113 in cash to a complete stranger every hour, would you? You wouldn't do that. But you do it, we all do it, every single day when our manager says, let's meet for 1 hour. When our families say, can we just borrow some time? Can you do this for me? When we sit in our office thinking about all the things we're going to do and then we don't do it, we waste $113 every hour. So what can we do to increase the $113 to $226, for example? That's doubling production, right? And we have to start by being aware of the time, our value of our time. Then it's very easy to increase the value of time. Starting with one rule: do not keep giving time away like we do right now. We've been doing it for years without thinking. One of the ways to increase the value of your time is to increase the value of the clients that you deal with and the new business opportunity that you generate. Now, I'm going to share with you a very unusual way of looking at client segmentation. When I talk to advisors around the world, one of the things they say to me is, Sandro, my number one client is my wealthiest client, and my lowest client is the poorest client. I believe that is not the way to segment your business if you are really serious about being more successful. So for me, my A clients, the most important clients, are people like Roger and Alison, who have got more money to invest, but they love me, and I love them. In other words, the relationship is really good. The B clients, there is no more opportunity in the future. I've invested all the money, they've bought all the insurance they need, there is no more opportunity, but they love me and I love them. The relationship is really strong. Now, the reason why these are my B clients is because these are the clients who will become my advocates. They are the ones who will make me more visible. They will refer me to others. They are more valuable to me than the C clients. The Cs might have more money. They might want to buy more insurance, but the relationship is not perfect. And so even if they have lots of money, they probably won't give it to me because the relationship isn't great. Now, of course, if you have D clients, you have a problem because Ds are the ones where there is no more opportunity and the relationship is not very good. These are the ones you must get rid of. You must sack these people. Give them to another advisor. Write them a nice letter, say, I'm sorry, I can't work with you anymore. Now, I know that's really difficult to do, but if you are really serious about increasing your $113 an hour, you have to do this. You have to work with the A's and the B's. Of course, continue to service the C's, but all of your new opportunities will come from the A's and the B's. Let's talk about creating an experience. I already mentioned Starbucks, there's McDonald's, there's Apple, there's Singapore Airlines, there's all these amazing, famous, successful brands, and they are successful for one reason. It is not the product. It is not the price. It is the experience they create for their clients, their customers. Now, in 2020, we had a global pandemic. And in the UK, and I'm sure it was the same in South Korea, in the UK, what do you think the first thing financial advisors did when we found out about the global pandemic? What's the first thing that financial advisors do when there's an economic crisis? They hide. They stop calling their clients because we are afraid. We think, well, if I call my clients now, the stock market is going down, my clients won't be very happy, and it will cause me a big problem. That is not the way of a TOT member. The opportunity exists because of the pandemic. The opportunity exists when other advisors in South Korea are not calling their clients. The opportunity exists when the stock market goes down, not when the stock market goes up. All the successful people I've ever met have done the complete opposite of everyone else. That's why they're successful. We buy at the top of the stock market. We buy when property prices are high. We sell when they're low. That's why most people are financially not very successful. In 2020, when every other financial advisor in the UK was hiding, waiting for the pandemic to pass, we went to a company and we said, please will you create a very simple PDF brochure. It's a magazine and it contained information about homeschooling, mental health, physical health, tax news, financial tips, a whole range of different subjects. We sent this to 452 clients. We have 452 clients. We sent this to 452 clients and we said, this is for you. Information to help you and your family during this difficult time. Please give this, forward this to as many people as you think would find this useful. It reached 3,100 new prospects. In 2020, in a pandemic, when I did not see one new client face to face, we doubled our production. Doubled our production. Because we did something that no one else wanted to do. This is not me being more experienced, selling a different product, selling at a lower price. It's just thinking differently, doing the opposite of what the left brain, what our logic tells us to do. We also, I know all of you maybe have a business card, maybe you have a brochure. These are fantastic. But when I meet a new prospect, we send them, before the meeting, a PDF brochure. Now, the PDF brochure does not tell them what we do. It's not a job description. It doesn't say financial planning, investments, life insurance. It tells them why we do it. And it contains testimonials from some of my lovely clients. Sandro's fantastic. He provides great service. He's really kind. These are all the emotional things that a new prospect wants to know. The prospect does not want to know what I sell. They want to know, will I like him? Will I trust him? Will he provide a good service? And the only way to do this is something called the principle of consensus. The principle of consensus says, if other people like me, if other people do business with me, then it's okay for me to do business. A good example, Amazon. You're all familiar with Amazon. I'm a crazy guy when it comes to Amazon because the first thing I do is I see 4 stars or 5 stars. And I think 5 stars, it must be good, right? And I buy the product because everyone else tells me it's great. I don't know whether it's true or not. Maybe Amazon create these stars. I don't know. But I buy based on the experience of other people. So if you are going to create a brochure, can I suggest make it a PDF brochure? You can send it via email, but include testimonials. Let people know who you are and why you do what you do. Don't just talk about products. With professional people, I produce an at-a-glance card. It's a very simple summary on one side of the business solutions I offer, and on the other side, the retail solutions I offer. Now, I give this to professional people, lawyers, accountants, because I want to be visible. One thing I'm going to share with you is there is a lot of scientific research that shows the optimum number of times you should communicate with someone each year is 5. That's the optimum number. If you communicate more than 5 times, you become really annoying. If you communicate less than 5 times, you become more invisible. 5 is a good number. So, call your clients on their birthday. It's a great time to call them. Maybe you see an article, like a magazine. Send a copy to them. Maybe a Facebook message if you use Facebook. Any reason, any excuse to contact each of your clients about 5 times a year, and you become more visible. When you are visible, people will start to call you and say, I was thinking about you the other day, or my friend said, do you know a good financial advisor? Because they saw the Facebook page, because you called them 1 week before on their birthday, they think of you. This is not complicated. This does not need lots of experience. It's really basic things, but when we get really busy, we forget about them. So bear in mind, 5 times a year, and try to create visibility with other professionals as well. A few final things. The first thing is that I'm going to talk about this afternoon. We talk about service, but here's the big problem. Many advisors around the world, they say, but Sandro, I provide really great service for my clients. I see them every year. And I say, well, that's fantastic. But some clients want to see you more than once a year. Others don't want to see you once a year. They want to see you every 2 or 3 years, maybe. So you have to understand what clients want, because if you do not manage the expectation, you don't create good outcomes. We'll talk about that this afternoon in the general session. But what I want to just mention to you is, and this is a deliberate mistake. On this slide, there is a very important word, and we all use this word when we are carrying out a service with a review with our clients. And the mistake is the word review. Now, I'm going to ask you to change this word. Stop using the word review when you're servicing a client. Hi, unit, Sandro, time for your review. Because when Una reviews something, she looks backwards. When we have a planning meeting, Una looks forwards. And when she looks forwards, we create new opportunity. Just one word. Just change that word, and you will change the way that your clients see new opportunities with you in the future. And every year, you send a service reminder to your clients and ask them to tell you, Una, is the service I'm providing still okay? Do you want more? Do you want less? We'll talk about this afternoon. But always make sure that you regularly look at whether what you're doing continues to meet your clients' expectations. And one other really important thing, this is another piece of psychology. When you give advice, we all give advice, and for example, I say to Una, okay, Una, I think you need some life insurance for your family. Una says, well, let me think about it. Maybe we can talk again in 6 months. Or I'm going to shop around. Okay, this happens. Now, instead of saying, okay, Una, no problem, you write to Una and you say, Una, yesterday we met, I made a recommendation, you decided that you didn't want to proceed with the recommendation. No problem, but I have just made a note on my file. This letter is to confirm I gave the advice, but you decided not to proceed. Okay? Now, instead of me being accountable for Una's decision, Una is now accountable for her decision. She has a letter from me. If she dies, it's no problem for me, it's a big problem for her. So when I make my clients accountable for their decisions, they usually change their mind. 7 times out of 10, I find that they change their mind, just when you change the accountability. And I just want to leave you with a couple of final thoughts. How do we, as advisors, become more iconic? And what I mean by iconic is people come to us, not the other way around. We don't have to prospect anymore because they come to us. There are 3 rules. Number 1, personality. I'm talking about the personality of your business. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it stand for? What is the process? Number 2, education. This is not academic education. It is not about what you know. It is about how you communicate what you know. Because most of the people in South Korea do not have a good understanding of money, of insurance. So our job is to help make the complicated simple. If you're good at that, and that's about concepts, then you stand a much better chance of building good relationships. And finally, I already mentioned this, visibility. The more visible you are, the more business you will do. Finally, my job today, and I hope in some way I have achieved this for you, is not to tell you to change what you're doing. What you're doing is already fantastic. I'm simply suggesting that if you look at every single component part of your business, as I did in 1991 after 2 years of failure, and then we improve everything by 10%, maybe more, then you can be anything you want to be. COT, TOT, TOT 2 times, 3 times, and instead of having 71 COT members and 16 TOT members, I hope when I get the opportunity to be with you again, we can have 200 or 300 TOT members in South Korea. Wouldn't that be amazing? So, I'm not going to wish you luck for 2023. You do not need luck. You just need to take positive action, take 1 or 2 ideas, implement them, and I will see you at the next TOT meeting. Thank you all so much.